City side, how warm it is in here, right? How warm it is in here in spirit, in community, in love, in goodness. And I think the cold just reminds us about our warm hearts. Aww. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. That's right, City Side. I want you to sing. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy. I send my joy. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. We're going to sing about love to warm this place up. I send my love, that's right, over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Let's take that. And I said, and it returns to me one more time. And it returns to you. Good morning, City Side. So, I need you all to stand and shake your bodies a little bit to move some warm heat in this place, right? Ain't got no trouble in my life, no foolish dreams to make me cry. I'm never frightened or worried. You know I'll always get by. Why? I heat up, I cool down. Put your hands together. When something gets in my way, I go round it. I need that. Don't let life get me down. I'm gonna take it the way that I found it. Sing with me, everybody. Come on. I got the music in me. 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 Keep playing, Greg. All right, my friends. So in life and what we're doing in here, I need some convicted clappers, right? The conviction in which you walk through your day, as you wake up in the morning, as you do what you do in life. I need you to convict, even if you do not have a great sense of rhythm. That is okay. I need those claps. Come on. Hey, they say that life is a circle, but that ain't the way that I found it. Oh, I'm gonna move in a straight line, keeping my feet firmly on the ground. I heat up and I cool down. When something gets in my way, I go round it. Don't let life get me down. Oh, I'm gonna take it the way that I found it. Come on. I got the music in me. 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 Break it down, Greg. I feel funky. I feel good. Gonna tell you I'm in City Side's neighborhood. Gonna fly like a bird on a wing. Hold on to your hat, honey. Sing, 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 sing. I heat up, I cool down. When something gets in my way, I go round it. Don't let life get me down. I'm gonna take it the way that I found it. You're gonna sing now. Sing. Come on. What? I got. What? What? Yes, you do. Come on. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. All right, City Side. We're getting you there. We're getting you there.
Good morning, City Side. I'm Reverend Aimee Daniels, and I'm the spiritual director here, and I especially want to welcome anyone who is here for the first time. I think you guys are all super tough. When I got up and looked at the temperature this morning, I was like, what? But we also want to welcome our live streamers. I know there's a lot of people sitting at home cozy with their coffee and their blankies this morning, so welcome. At Cityside, we are about practical spirituality that you can use to create the life you want. We embrace new thought and wisdom's paths, and we are affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. We do honor all paths, and we practice oneness, but we're really here to provide a supportive, loving community for all of us to have a deeper experience. You might notice in the back of the room, Krista is sitting in a meditative state. She's holding vigil for us throughout the service to help us go deeper with our own experience. And now I would like to invite everyone to join me in speaking our mission and vision out loud. It's on your handout, if you got one. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love and action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature. So we are a social media friendly community. If you see somebody with their phone out, we hope they're checking in. I don't actually know how to check in. Someone could teach me later, but I do. I realized that this morning. Someone's like, how do you check in? I'm like, I have no idea. But I do get on the live stream, and I share the live stream, and I encourage everyone else to do that. That's on Facebook. People can have the experience of this service without being here. So we appreciate you sharing that. Our theme for January is Begin Again, and we've been revisiting Ernest Holmes all month. Today we're going to take a little segue because this is the day that we chose to honor our volunteers. And our topic today is Sacred Service as a Spiritual Path. So in a little while, you're going to be hearing from a few people in the community about their own experience with sacred service and how it's supported them in their spiritual growth. So we do have a custom here, and that is that you have to meet someone that you don't know and share the icebreaker question for the day as a way to get to know them. So we are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King this weekend, tomorrow, in honor of him, one of the really great leaders of, well, some of you might not have been born yet when he was around, but one of the great leaders in the civil rights movement, great inspiration. So just share with your neighbor if you get the day off for that, and if you do, what are you going to do? And if you don't get the day off, well, share what's going on with you.
Just encourage you to wrap up. Yes. Be like Lucy. All right. Good morning, Cityside. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Hoffman. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here at Cityside. And I'm going to take us through the reading this morning. We'll do a short meditation and then launch into the invocation. But this morning's reading is called How Can I Help? It's an adaptation by Ram Dass and Paul Gorman. And how can I help? At times, helping happens simply by way of things. It's not something we really think about, merely the instinctive response to an open heart. Caring is a reflex. You slam on the brakes, your arm goes out. Your neighbor's car is stuck in the snow, you lend a hand and push. A colleague at work seems down, you let them know you care. It all seems natural and appropriate. You live and you help. When we join together in spirit, action comes more effortlessly, and everybody ends up nourished. Preparing for the blizzard, volunteering for your association board, preparing for a funeral. People seem to know their part. We sense what's called for, and if we don't, we feel momentarily awkward, and then someone comes quickly with an idea, and it's just right, and we're grateful. We check if our elderly neighbor needs anything before the big storm hits. We bring refreshments to the association meeting. We offer babysitting services to the couple needing help after a parent just died. Needs are anticipated, and glances of appreciation among us are enough to confirm that it's all going well. We take pleasure not in what we did, but in the way we did it. On one hand, the effort was so natural, it might seem pointless or self-conscious to make something of it. It was what it was. Yet, if we stop to consider why it all felt so good, we sense that some deeper process is at work. Expressing our innate generosity, we experienced our kinship, our kindness. We experienced us. In service, we taste unity. So now I just invite you all to close your eyes if that's comfortable and turn within. And just to contemplate this idea of in service, we taste unity as we just sit in the silence for a few moments. Just remaining anchored in this space of connection, in this space of unity. As I contemplate the one power, the one presence for good in back of all things, I call this power and this presence God, and I recognize God as love, as joy, as peace, as unity. And I know that I am one with this one power, this one presence. Just as I know each and every one gathered here and watching online is one with the one. All that God is, we are. The truth of our beings is love, is joy, is peace, is unity. So it is from this place of oneness that I just speak a blessing over our time together today, knowing that each and every person here or watching online is here by divine appointment, that all things are working together for good always. I just speak a blessing over Cityside, knowing that this is a community that stands for love, that stands for service, that stands in unity, that this is a beacon in the city of Chicago and beyond, reaching out into our communities with an expansion of love, an expansion of service, an expansion of unity. I speak a special blessing over our facilitators today, Reverend Aimee, Reverend Judy, with Lucy and Eric-Todd, for everyone, all of the hearts and hands that have come together in service to make this community magical. So I just give great thanks for all that is. I call it all good, and so it is.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lost touch with my soul. I had nowhere to turn, I had nowhere to go. Lost sight of my dream, thought it'd be the end of me. I thought I'd never make it through. I had no hope to hold on to. I thought I would break. I didn't know my own strength, and I crashed down and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I got through all the pain. I didn't know my own strength, survived my darkest hour. My faith kept me alive. I lift myself back up, my head up high. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength. Found hope in my heart. I found the light to life, my way out of the dark. Found all that I need here inside of me. I thought I'd never find my way. I thought I'd never live that way. Oh, I thought I would break. I didn't know my own strength, and I crashed down and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I got through all my pain. I didn't know my own strength, survived my darkest hour. My faith kept me alive. I picked myself back up, hold my head up high. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength. There were so many times I wondered how I'd get through the night. I took all that I could take. I didn't know my own strength, and I crashed down and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength, survived my darkest hour. My faith kept me alive. I picked myself back up, hold my head up high. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength. I was not built to break. I got to know my own strength.
Tiffany, that was beautiful. Thank you. I love that song. Whitney Houston did that song. Did everybody know that? So, as I said earlier, it's kind of an auspicious day because we're celebrating our volunteers, and it's also a celebration tomorrow of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who really committed himself to a greater cause. And we could say that that cause was love. We could say that it was, racial equality. We could call it a lot of things, but he really embodied what we teach, is to let that come through you. And he said, everyone can be great because everybody can serve. And so we're going to celebrate the people today who serve at Cityside. But before we do that, I'm going to put a little frame around how our service is going to go. So when we were planning this, we thought, really the best way to share about what serving means is to have people share their stories about what serving means to them. And I know for some people, serving may be like someone twisting my arm to do something I don't actually want to do. Does that occur that way for anyone? We call that being voluntold. I might have been accused of that here. But in How Can I Help by Ram Dass and Paul Gorman, which Jonathan shared from, they explore this whole idea of the path of helping, of service. They look at all the different aspects of serving, and also just our individual resistance to it. And this perspective that I want to talk about today is the idea that service is actually part of our spiritual path. And everything is part of our spiritual path, really, everything that happens in our life. But serving can actually be a practice, just like meditation is a practice, prayer is a practice. And it can simply be that you help the people who end up in your path, someone whose car broke down and they need help changing their tire, or a neighbor who has a problem in their house, or a family member who's sick. Or it might be something that you choose consciously to do. My sister, I was thinking about my sister on the way here because she actually once gave her, not an extra couch, she gave her actual couch to someone who was homeless, who was getting an apartment. And they didn't have a couch. She goes, well, lots of people have helped me, so he needed a couch, so I gave him mine. So to me, my sister is a great representation of someone who consciously goes out of her way to help because she's been helped. But Ram Dass and Paul Gorman say service is a curriculum. And what do they mean when they say that? All spiritual paths deal with this idea of separateness, that we can feel separate from others and from spirit, and unity. So one of the fundamental issues on the spiritual path is dealing with this sense of separation that we have, and remembering that we actually are connected both with spirit and with other people. So you're called to awaken from your sense of separation. That's part of the spiritual path. And so when you serve, it can help you awaken from your sense of separation. It can help you realize that you are connected to the people that are around you, whether it is, because you see it in their eyes, or you just feel the warmth of love when you offer a gift. But it really opens up your heart. And you recognize you're not separate, and you recognize that even if your experience is different, you're just two humans having an experience of life. Yours is different than theirs. It's not better or worse. We can think of it that way, but they're just on a different journey. And if you're the one helping, you've stepped up to be that person. And if you're the one being helped, it's a perfect union. It really is. So if we think about it this way, service is really a journey back to unity. It's not so much about an end in itself. It's about this journey that you're on, and it's about getting a deeper understanding of life and about who you're being in life. So if you look at spiritual, as your spiritual path as a journey and service as part of it, it can show you, service can show you where you need to grow. It can show you where you still believe in separation. Has anyone ever noticed they still believe in separation? I noticed that about myself. It can show you where you need to grow in compassion. It can show you where you need to open your heart. It kind of can just show you where you are. How generous are you? How much judgment do you have? The one thing that occurs to me, too, is it can also show us where our fear is. You know, sometimes if someone walks up to us, especially if we're in our car and someone walks up to our car, we can feel fearful, right? Anyone ever had that experience? But it can really give us a deeper understanding of where we're at in our life. So if we stay with this path of sacred service, it can lead us to deeper compassion, because it's easy to close our hearts when there's suffering around us. And there's a lot of suffering around us. You can't walk around the streets in the city of Chicago without seeing someone who's homeless. I mean, some days if I'm walking around downtown, I might see 20 people. You know, you see a lot of people who are suffering. And that can be hard to be with. It can be hard to be with a loved one who's dying. I had a client who just lost his dad, and when his dad first got sick, he was having such a hard time being with him. And some of the other guys in the group that he's in said to him, you know, it doesn't matter how you show up, just go and show up and be with your dad. That's all you can do right now, just be with him. There's not like a right way and a wrong way, but it's hard to be with that when you see a loved one suffering, isn't it? So this can all open us up to compassion, but really what it does, it opens us up to a new way of being. So Mother Teresa said when she looked at the people that she was serving, which there were a lot of lepers that she served, she saw it as Christ in a distressing disguise. And she viewed service as loving God and affirming the person she was with. So she really let that love come through her, and that was her belief. But the deeper call is service is not about what you do, it's really about who you are. So we're going to move into some sharing now. We have 3 people who are going to share about their experiences of sacred service, and then we'll move into honoring our volunteers. So first, I would like to invite Reverend Judy up.
You know, when we think of yoga, at least, you know, in the Western world, many of us can picture young, fit women in expensive yoga pants. You know, this may be only me, but, you know, then stopping off at Starbucks afterwards for a caramel mocha latte with a triple shot of, I don't know, something or other. I get confused and overwhelmed just standing behind some people at Starbucks. You know, so I'm not going to go any further with that stereotype, lest I manage to offend both yoga practitioners and Starbucks lovers. And I feel like I might be in big trouble with this crowd, so. The true origins of yoga, however, are spiritual in nature. Yoga, a Sanskrit word, derives from the same root as the English word yoke. So it means both to yoke together, to unite with, and to place under discipline training. So commonly defined, yoga is a method of training that leads to integration or union. And there are 4 types of yoga that lead to this union: Jnana yoga, Bhakti yoga, Karma yoga, and Raja yoga. And it's the Karma yoga path that I want to focus on today, because that is the path of service. And as I reflect on my connection to service, you know, I really believe that it is my path to union to God. It is how I experience the divine, and how I believe that the divine most loudly, maybe, most clearly expresses through me. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't connect through spirit to spirit through prayer and meditation. I absolutely do, but my connection to God through service is very intimate. It's very strong. And I came by this experience of service as a core spiritual practice through my birth religion, through Catholicism. Now, I'm sure back in the day it was not labeled a spiritual practice per se, but in the Catholic Church, both then and now, social justice and community service, service to others was very much emphasized. And if there are other cradle Catholics out there today, and I'm sure there are because we're everywhere, you know, those of us raised in the church from infancy, right, you'll probably recognize what I'm talking about. Now, there are lots of reasons to be disillusioned with the Catholic Church. Oh my God, absolutely. And I bet there are lots of people who have found their way here into Bodie and other places like this out of some sort of disillusionment, at least in part, with the religions of our birth. And yet I have a lot of gratitude for my Catholic upbringing and roots. And this training, this emphasis on social justice and community service is absolutely one of them. One of my more fond memories that I have of serving, at least in recent years, is when I organized our Credo group to volunteer at a Just Harvest up in Rogers Park. This is an organization that feeds the hungry 365 days a year. So if you're looking for a place to volunteer, this is an excellent organization. I highly recommend it. And so our group, Credo, and if you're not familiar with Credo was a small, intrepid band of spiritual seekers led by Reverend Aimee. So this was post-Bodie and pre-Cityside. So our group went up there, and as is the custom at a Just Harvest, they ask someone from the groups that are serving to say grace before the meal. And this organization, the Just Harvest, grew out of a faith-based organization, and so most of the groups that volunteer there are Christian churches. So we being a New Thought group, I said an affirmative prayer. And afterwards, as we're serving the meal, I'm getting into a conversation with one of the diners, and she's a regular there. And she said, I have never heard anyone pray like that before. And she thanked me. And as a Jewish woman, I can imagine that sitting there night after night, this might have been the first time she'd ever heard anyone pray without invoking Jesus Christ. And I think she felt more included by that. And she and I would get in conversations a lot because I volunteered there on my own as well. And as avid readers, we would share our love of books, what we were reading, the authors we liked, and as Harry Potter nerds, really loving the Harry Potter books, we would geek out on our love for J.K. Rowling. So, it is these connections, these points of connections, these conversations, these relationships that happen when I serve that really light up my soul and bring a lot of joy to me and fill me as I serve. Whether or not you are on the karmic path of service, to consciously walk the path of service is one of the foundations of living an authentic spiritual life in all of the major faith paths. Now, there's lots of reason people give for not serving. Time constraints is a big one. Feeling overwhelmed by the need of the world is another. You may be familiar with this story of two men walking along a beach after a big storm. The first man's walking along and he sees hundreds, maybe thousands of starfish that are stranded on the beach, that are certain to die before the next high tide can carry them back to the sea. He sees this and he says to himself, "Oh, how tragic," and he continues walking. He turns a bend and he sees another man who's picking up the starfish and throwing them back into the water. He approaches the man and he says, "There are thousands of starfish on this beach. You can't possibly save them all. Don't you realize that what you're doing doesn't make any difference?" The man doesn't reply. He simply reaches down, picks up another starfish, and throws it into the ocean. "Made a difference to that one," he says. So whether you see yourself as on the karma path of service or not, or you are looking to deepen and expand your spiritual practice, I invite you to yoke with, to unite with God in service to others. So I'd like to leave you with this passage from the Talmud. "Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it."
I come from a particular lineage of people. You may have heard of these people. In fact, you may be one. I fear Reverend Judy is. These people are known as church people. Now, what exactly is the lineage of people known as church people? Well, you can identify church people by observing them make a casserole. When church people make a casserole, they make 5. They will eat one. They know someone will be born, someone will die, someone will be sick, and someone will be hungry. Church people. Now, my particular tribe of church people are the chair people. They're the ones always putting up the chairs, putting the chairs away. Leave, come back for something else, they're putting up the chairs, putting the chairs away. Now, you may have experienced chair people. In fact, you may have experienced me as having some pathological need to put the chairs up in a particular way, or having an obsession with order. But you see, down deep for chair people, it's not about the chairs at all. It's about who might sit in the chairs. The words of Ernest Holmes from Living the Science of Mind, page 243. Know with me in your heart as I affirm these words. I know that nothing but good can go from me, and nothing but good can return. It is my inward desire that everything I touch, that every person I think of, shall be blessed and helped. It is my affirmative prayer, which I completely accept, that even as I pass people in the street, some silent force of good shall reach from me to them. The unseen beauty of what Spirit will do through you and for you when we open up to serve. There is a reciprocal nature to service. We have no idea the capacity that Spirit has to use us, and we have no idea the capacity we have to receive in the most unlikely and unseen places. New York City, 2005. I used to be in showbiz. I come from church people, but I'm also show people. I was volunteering through New York Cares, playing bingo at the Bialystok Home for the Aged. On my first day, I walked into a room full of people, and I sat down next to a woman in a wheelchair. Karen Kravitz. She was 92. Come to find out, Karen was show people. She used to be a dancer for Barbara Walters' father, Lou Walters, in his nightclubs that were very famous at the time. Now, we didn't play a lot of bingo, but we shared a lot of stories about show business through the spring and summer of that year. Then in the fall, I left New York City and I went to Los Angeles to rehearse a show, and I thought, I'm gonna send Karen a card and some pictures just to give her a little bit of showbiz in her life again. And I did that, and that was the last time I ever spoke to her or had contact with Karen. And I had used my parents' return address on the envelope because I didn't really have a home at that time. And then about 4 years later, my mom received a phone call, and a woman said, "Does Eric-Todd Rushing live here?" "No, this is his mother. How can I help you?" "Your son used to visit my husband's godmother in the nursing home. He sent her a card and some pictures, and I used that return address to find this phone number." Karen kept that card and those pictures by her bed and spoke of Eric and how they played bingo and shared stories of showbiz often. Karen passed away this week, and I know she would want him to know. The power Spirit has to use you in ways that you can never imagine and often never see. Chicago, 2011. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Youth Lounge, a drop-in program for street-based and homeless youth. Now, the model for this program was to be just like a basement in America on a Saturday night, except these particular kids, they didn't have families or homes. These kids, as we called them, were our youth. There was a transgendered girl named Drakira, and she was homeless. She had no couch to crash on, no distant family or friends to support her. She had been kicked out of her home for who she was. A few days before Christmas, I saw Drakira walking toward me in the snow, and she carried everything she owned in a large, old, broken and torn suitcase. And I noticed the handle didn't really go up, and the wheels didn't turn, and she was dragging it along, and it was picking up snow, and it was making it difficult for her to get around. And I asked if she was going to be at the Youth Lounge Christmas party on Christmas Eve. She said yes, and I told her I had a brand new suitcase that I didn't use anymore, and I would leave it at the church for her with Pastor Lois. I wasn't going to be at the party because I was going to be visiting my family. So that Christmas Eve, I was having dinner with my family, and I got a text from Pastor Lois. And it read, Drakira left with her old suitcase tonight. Elaine had her things in a garbage bag, and Drakira said, you put your things in the new suitcase. I'm fine with this old one. The true story of Christmas. The deep and profound way Spirit will use those who we think we're serving to give to us in ways we could never imagine. To this day, and often weekly, I think of Drakira's ability to see enough. When I think I don't have enough time, when I think I don't have enough money, when I think that who I am is not enough to give, I remember Drakira and how she saw more than enough in what most people would see as a piece of garbage. Some silent force of good shall reach from me to them and back again. There is a great gift in serving, something deep that can draw you closer to God, something that will transform how you live and experience life. It is the thing that happens when you think that you're just playing bingo and God has you making a friend. It is the thing that happens when you think you're just giving an old suitcase in service to someone. Then Spirit has that person give to you a profound lesson about having more than enough. It's the unseen beauty of what Spirit can do when we open up and serve.
I slept and dreamed that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. And that is a short poem by Rabindranath Tagore. We call our selfless service, or seva, which is Sanskrit. What is selfless service anyway? It's a service that is performed without any expectation of a result or award from the person performing it. Selfless service is a reminder that we believe that being of loving service is essential to spiritual growth and personal transformation, and offers a pathway to experiencing Spirit's presence. Our Volunteer Appreciation Sunday today is a joyful celebration of our many volunteers and the gifts that they've shared. Now, when I was in California for 40 years, I volunteered a lot. My spiritual center was a mecca of volunteering, but I also reached out and did two others that I just loved. One was called Sacred Heart, and this was a large community which was all about helping homeless people, homeless families specifically. They had a food bank, a client store. They found people homes. They found people jobs. There was a whole computer center where we trained people on computers, on how to get a job in technology, which I was in San Jose, Silicon Valley, so that's where all the work was. But what I did there is I worked in the client store, and what that meant was that the homeless families that were registered with Sacred Heart could come in, and for 30 minutes, they could shop the store. There was clothing, shoes, underwear, socks, men's, women's, kids, everything. And there were all kinds of little tchotchkes that were underneath glass, and they could say, I want that. And oh, I loved working with that because I love to shop, love clothes and fashion and stuff. So one day I was volunteering, and this mother and her little girl came in. She was 6 years old, a beautiful little girl. And they were shopping, and they were asking questions, and I was like, now, are you looking for something special for your daughter? She said, yes. She needs a winter coat. I said, really? Now, I also did some volunteering. When people dropped off things at the back of the building, I was the person who was taking the bags in and starting to sort. And that morning, I pulled out this beautiful pink coat with a white fur collar and hood and cuffs, and I knew where it was. And I said, I think I might have something for your daughter. Let me go get it. So I went and got the coat, and I brought it back, and her face lit up. I said, would you like to try this on? She said, yeah. I put it on her. I said, look at this. She looks like a princess. And it was the middle of summer, but she wore that coat out of the building. And I thought, now I know why I'm here, because the joy and the love that was expressed at that moment was so overwhelming to me. I just loved it. And I said to one of the people I was volunteering with, I know I'm here. Oh, I love this. I love it so much. The other place was at my mother's assisted living home. She had dementia and went into Alzheimer's. And I worked with all the Alzheimer's and dementia patients at her facility. We played bingo, we played card games, we made bookmarks one day with Bible verses on them. I read to people at night before going to bed. I prayed with them. And what I learned was patience, number one, because dementia and Alzheimer's patients repeat over and over. And all they wanted to do was tell me stories about their life. Oh, the stories I heard from these folks about, especially from the women that were WACs in World War II, I didn't know anything about that. They taught me what it meant to really be of service to our young men at that time. And all they wanted to do was tell their stories. That's all they wanted, for me to know their life. Thank you, God. And so I had a whole new group of friends there. I ate with them. I talked with them. They told their stories to me over and over again. I didn't care. I just loved being with them because it was so wonderful about being with another person and them telling you about their life. I got so much from that, and my mother and I, oh wow, we grew in such a great way together because I don't think I would have ever known what she was going through had I not stepped up to volunteer there. I'm still doing some volunteering work with dementia and Alzheimer's here in Chicago at the Chicago Methodist Services Home. And we're reading plays out loud together. And that is another fabulous experience of letting people know that it's okay to have this, and they can be another character sometimes, which is fun. Thank you for letting me share my emotion as well. So when I stepped into Cityside on Sundays to start volunteering, my world got better, and I started meeting new people, sharing ideas, offering to pray with people. Even setting up chairs became a part of my spiritual practice. And it was never a task, it was a gift. And I set up tables, and I put out food and water and decorations and talked to people while I was doing it. These actions were deep-rooted in my belief because serving others has and always will be a part of my life that I will never walk away from. Why? Because it grounds me. It makes me understand what sacred service is. It's just that. It's sacred. It's real, and it opens up my heart to bigger and better a future that I can visualize and rely on even when I may be doubting my own strengths. I love volunteering, and I will keep doing it forever. Join me in this most sacred of rituals now as the ritual of giving oneself to Siva. The volunteers that we honor today are a reflection of the consciousness of Cityside and is a part of our core values, and that is giving is a sacred trust. These volunteers have kept their commitments. They come early on Sundays. They've joined in the camaraderie of doing sacred tasks and just having fun. They've set up, taken down, moved furniture, thrown away trash, carried boxes to cars, plugged in electrical units, moved microphones and music stands, and finally put it all away at the end of the Sunday experience. Wow, what great things they've done and still will continue to do. And as the great teacher, Jesus the Christ, stated, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things. These, because I am the truth, I am the way, I am the light." And that is what we become when we volunteer. Namaste. Will our volunteers please come forward? If you've done anything here at Cityside, please come forward now so that we may acknowledge you.
AJ. Come on, volunteers, don't be shy.
And I also want to thank the people who are on the live stream this morning. I noticed Peter and Bobby are on the live stream because they're sick, and Don, and I know Keith Jacob. We have a lot of people who are out today. So we just have a gift for everyone who's volunteered. We're also going to have some food.
Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks for all that you are. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks for all that you do and all that you've done.
I'm so grateful for all the people who came up, and we decided that we should just ask everyone to come up so you would know how many people there actually were. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people too who have just helped set up chairs and do other things. So we sincerely are grateful because there's a lot that goes into Sunday mornings, and without all of you, it wouldn't happen. So, hey, Eric-Todd, we forgot Russ because he was in the back, so could you take him? So now is our time to move into conscious giving. We are a community-supported organization, and each week we practice conscious giving that allows us to create Sunday morning. And I support Cityside financially because I believe in what we teach. I believe if we all come into our heart more and from our spirit, then the world will change. So before we make our gifts, we're going to pass a basket, but you can also text to give to 312-757-8111. I also want to invite you to just take your gift to your heart and just close your eyes for a second and just give thanks for all the good things that happened this week in your life. Whether it was unexpected flow of money, whether it was you got to hang out with your favorite people, whether you got to take a day off, whatever you're grateful for this week, just give thanks within yourself for that. And I'm going to invite you now to say our affirmation together, which is in your handout. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. know this song, you should sing it with Tiffany.
I would agree. For the volunteers, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks for all that is. Give praise, give praise, give praise, oh, give praise for all that is.
And so we give great thanks for all the gifts that have been offered. I bless the giver, and I bless Cityside as the receiver, just knowing that God is the source of all. I just give thanks for our volunteers today and all the love that they give to Cityside all the time. I know that we are truly blessed. And I just give thanks for this community, for this love at the center of all of it, just knowing that we are uplifted and we carry this love in our hearts as we move out into our week. And with so much gratitude for all of this, I simply say, and so it is. Amen.
So it is. Amen.
Well, if you are here for the first time, we want to welcome you. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. And if you would just stop by the welcome table outside and fill out an information card, we would love to stay connected with you. And there are the welcome cards look like this. And every like Thursday or Friday, an email goes out and it lets you know who's the speaker, if there might be special events afterwards, and it has the links to all the classes. If you don't get that email and you would like to receive it, you can fill one of these out as well. Whoa. It's an abundance of notes.
We've got some volunteers to help you, Eric-Todd.
I'm going to just trust.
That's right.
Because I don't know what came after that. Yeah.
You got this,
Next
baby.
week, coming up next week, we continue our theme, Begin Again. Reverend Darrell will be back, exploring that theme. And then coming up on February 2nd, Brother Moon, Sister Sun. And I'm going to have to look for it because... Yes, but where's the flyer? Coming up February 2nd, Brother, Sun, Sister Moon, a musical storytelling about the life of St. Francis, performed by James Twyman. This will be at 2 p.m. after our service. We would love to have a bunch of people there, so if you have people who are interested in theater or interested in St. Francis himself, that will begin at 2 p.m. You can get tickets online through the website. And then we have some education opportunities coming up. The Meditation is More Than You Think begins this week, January 22nd, with Reverend Aimee. This is a CSL curriculum class, so for those of you who might be interested in exploring the practitioner path, this is a great class for that. And then on the 27th, we have a book study with practitioner John, and Welcoming the Unwelcome, Wholehearted Living in a Broken-Hearted World by Pema Chandran. You can also sign up for that online. That is a Zoom offering, so you don't have to leave your home for that. And lastly, don't leave with anything heavy on your heart. We've relocated prayer to the back corner. There are practitioners back there to walk you through the prayer process. If you have a written request, practitioners will pray over it for the next 2 weeks. And as you make your way out into the hallway to just have a little bit of hospitality, we want you to stay around. In fact, we have plenty of food for everyone. We're having a luncheon for the volunteers. So just kind of hang out in the hallway and we're transition this room for that luncheon and allow prayer to occur. And then in about 15 minutes, we invite you all just to stay for some fellowship and some Maggiano's. Did I say that right? Yeah. Portillo's, sorry. My bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm crashing the party here. You know, it's Volunteer Sunday, and we're celebrating our volunteers, and there's one volunteer that I want to make sure our community celebrates, and that's our own Reverend Aimee Daniels.
It is really amazing what you've done when someone threw the baby in your lap. You know, it's amazing. So thank you. Stick around. Happy Sunday.
All right, it's time to stand. It's time to shake the body. It's time to move the hands. Warming it up. I said, back when I had a little, I thought that I needed a lot. A little was overrated, but a lot was a little too complicated. See, zero didn't satisfy me. A million didn't make me happy. That's when I learned a lesson, that it's all about your perceptions. Hey, are you a pauper or a superstar? So you act, so you feel, and so you are. It ain't about the size of the car, it's about the size of the faith in your heart. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. That's right, said there's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. Keep playing. So the chorus is, there's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. So I'm going to have you sing this chorus with me a couple times just so it gets inside your soul, all right? And here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, 1, 2, there's hope, and there's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. We're going to keep doing that. There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. Now I said, off in the back country of Brazil, I met a young brother that made me feel that I could accomplish anything. You see, just like me, he wanted to sing. He had no windows and no doors. He lived a simple life and was extremely poor. On top of all that, he had no eyesight, but that didn't keep him from seeing the light. He said, what's it like in the USA? And all that I did was complain. Living here is paradise. He told me paradise is in your mind. You know there's hope. What? It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. We're going to sing this one more time. I said, there's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. You don't have to pay to laugh. You better thank God for that. There's hope. Happy Sunday, Cityside. Have a beautiful week. We will see you next week with Reverend Darrell.